somehow you have to be a little bit possessive. Not because you don't trust this person or whatever, that happens also, but because only the fact that this person is smiling for somebody else, that can be even a friend or a girlfriend or whatever, you have already to be jealous, and this smile is not for you. I mean, something of this kind is. But I think this is kind of jealousy that is somehow positive.
Whatever role he was playing, he would identify with that role totally. Whether it would be Don José in Carmen, or Samson, or Barbe Masco Tosco, made no difference. And that's what got across to the public, I think, that this man actually meant what he was singing. He wasn't just putting on a bit of professional work. He was himself deeply involved in what he was doing.
Hello, Anna. How are you? Nice seeing you. Thanks a lot. Oh, 3 times.
Carreras' identification with the romantic hero was fueled by his onstage rapport with Montserrat Caballé.
It was a little accident. I lost my earpiece, and it's a long one, and he was giving me a big kiss, and I lose my thing and falls inside. And at once I feel his hand looking for the earring. And I do like it, and he says, "Your earring?" So I said, "Thank you."
She probably has much more fantasy than myself for this kind of things.
This performance was in Tokyo, where Carreras' reputation had clearly gone before him.
I've never seen so many hysterical and lovely Japanese virgins run after a fellow as they did after Carreras. He used to have to do hours of signing of autographs after each performance. And the Japanese were normally so frightfully correct and polite. They shared everything in those terms, and quite shamelessly scrambled over the cars and one another in order to get to the famous beautiful man.
Well, when he arrives, we usually have so many ladies here chasing after him. We have to, as I say to Sandy, repel boarders. As soon as they know Carreras is in town, it's batten down the hatches, isn't it?
It certainly is, yeah. Gee,
what's they like?
Absolutely crazy. They hang about, just before he comes in, and they're all there with their hair all done up and, looking $1 million, you know what I mean? And then like, is he in yet? Is he in yet? And it's constant,
the phones never stop, do they?
Never stop, no.
You have to watch all the emergency doors. They're usually out here about 7, 8 in the morning, some of them.
I'm not at all afraid or to say that I'm a romantic man. It seems that in our society, to be romantic in our days, it's contemplated as being weak. You're not tough enough if you are romantic. You are not competitive enough. You are not aggressive enough, Thanks God, I don't agree in this point of view, and I consider myself a romantic man.
Che bella cosa una giornata sole, un'aria serena dopo una tempesta, bell'aria fresca, parecchiana festa, che bella cosa una giornata sole. Ma no, cos'è?
The Spanish Civil War in the late 30s was a formative influence upon Carreras' life and his work. Republican Barcelona was the capital of Catalonia and suffered badly as it fell to the fascist army. The repressive regime that Franco then imposed directly affected Carreras' family.
Well, my father was a school teacher until the Civil War in Spain, and he was fighting in the Republican side. So afterwards, he was not allowed anymore to teach for, let's say, for political reasons or whatever. I mean, it's not that somebody said, no, you are not going to teach, but they put him apart and they never got a job as a teacher anymore. But unfortunately, in these days in Spain, things work this way. It's essential for us to keep our roots and our identity. What I said always is that more Catalan they let me be, more Spanish I will feel.
Until 1975, even the Catalan language was suppressed and their regional anthems banned. It's made Carreras strongly aware of his identity as a Catalan, and he makes a point of including Catalan songs in his repertoire.
Una galga umida fresca da serena, una galta suavi plena, es ben dolce da posar. Entre dos silencis, silenciós, com vares deixar-nos tremolant tots e dos dins la nit quieta. Amb deixos ardents de la migdiada i dels terrals vents. Flonja galta ruixada amb serena, sota dama boca d'espatlles al mar, però la xafugosa nit gaga serena.
This cultural legacy has led to Carreras developing a particular interest in justice and political freedom, and to start wanting to play the revolutionary roles in opera whose principles reflect his own.
Anything which is against justice, social justice, or it's against myself, or anything which is against freedom or democracy, it's against myself, it's against the society. So this is inside myself in this character.
As Carreras moved into his 30s, he began adding political roles to his repertoire. He first played Andrea Chenier in 1979, a real French aristocrat who supported the revolution.
have the hero, you know, not the romantic hero, but the hero, the man really involved politically with full of idealism. This is an opera that any tenor in the world would like to sing.
In Andrea Chenier, the hero is the tenor, and he has had the best aria to sing. This is also the case with most of the operas in Carreras' repertoire.
Well, the role of De Grieux in Manon Lescaut is one of the most beautiful tenor roles. And Calaf has, of course, the most famous tune, Nessun Dorma. In Tosca you got E Lucelle Stelle or Recondita Armonia, and in I don't know, in Butterfly you do not have the best tune. The soprano has it.
Generally is the romantic. Generally is the guy who has the best arias, or at least the arias that people knows more than every other. I think unless somebody is a very low voice, in the shower in the morning they all imitate the tenor.
Well, it's very simple. The tenor voice is the voice that belongs to the man who gets the girl in the opera, and it's also the man who gets the higher fee in the opera. Being a bass and a baritone, I resent that very much. But I really must say that in Jose's case, I really don't mind.
What is for sure is I'm not a dramatic tenor or a Helden tenor, or I'm not a leggero, coloratura tenor. That's for sure. The rest, I am not able to judge. I think people, audiences and critics, they should judge my type of voice or the quality of my voice, if any, or whatever.
Cabello más sutil que tienes en tu trenzada he de hacer una cadena para traerte a mi lado. Carraza en tu casa, chiquilla quisiera ser, para besarte la boca cuando fueras a beber.
As his career progressed through the 80s, he increasingly moved beyond opera into concerts. He'd become well enough known to fill major venues with a solo performance.
In a recital, you are naked with your tails and your piano and your pianist. It's fascinating for me. It's a very different way to approach an audience, but not only that. With recitals, you can reach parts of the world and kind of audiences that we would never be able to do with opera, because in their city, in their area, there are not opera companies. And it's very, very gratifying.
Cologne Cathedral Square was one of the venues of a European concert tour that Carreras undertook in the summer of 1991.
We are in the road at least 11 months a year. You are away from your family, you are away from people you love. You are away from actually your things, your identity in a way. And on top, when we arrive to the places to perform, we need a lot of concentration. We need to be fit physically. So it's not we can do much more than rehearse concentrate and sleep.
The demanding schedule was compounded by difficulties caused by his own popularity. No concert halls were big enough to satisfy the public demand for tickets, so an army of workmen had to construct open-air arenas in the biggest spaces in the towns that he visited. Rehearsals took place amid interruptions and rain as the seating continued to be constructed in front of him.
Mi han detto che domani Nina vi fate sposa ed io vi canto ancor la serenata. Là nella valle ombrosa, là nei deserti piani, hello, quante volte l'ho ricantata.
The Dresden Philharmonic accompanied Carreras to a different town each week, where he rehearsed in conditions that did nothing to protect his voice.
Foglia di rosa, o fior di amaranto, se ti fai sposa, ti starò sempre accanto. Io ti sto sempre accanto, foglia di rosa. Domani avrete intorno feste, sorrisi e fiori, ne penserete ai nostri vecchi amori. Ma sempre giorno e notte, piena di passione, verrà gemendo a voi la mia
Apart from concerts, Carreras has made a number of recordings. Though at first these were all operatic, from the early 1980s he has broadened his range.
Of course, an opera singer is trained to project. I mean, the tradition of opera is that a man can fill a hall without any microphonic aid. You know, this is how they used to do it. This is how Caruso was. And the great tenors can do this. And Carreras can do this. Pavarotti and Domingo can do this. Carreras' voice is lighter, perhaps, than most. But that, in fact, is a tremendous advantage for me, because he's able to control the very gentle notes, the very soft notes, without any wide vibratos. I'm not suggesting he croons, but he's able to put over a song without tremendous amount of over-expressionism, if you know what I mean. He doesn't have to belt everything in order to get it across.
Compasión de nosotros.
His best-known recording from the popular repertoire was West Side Story in 1984.
This is something that somehow you can already consider a classic, not anymore anything to do with crossover, but a classic, a modern classic. And that was a very, very special experience for me, to work with Bernstein and to have the opportunity to work for the first time in my life, not only with a wonderful conductor, but with the composer of a piece. You know? And that made things a little bit difficult at a certain point, but it was an absolutely wonderful experience.
There's no place to start. Bar 6. All the beautiful sounds of the world to sing a word. All right? Bar 6.
118.
Play. I wrote. Where are we? Bar 48. Carreras, I'll never stop saying. Carreras. You know where? Just before you say...
You know, when you are in the proceeding of making a recording, and there is so much pressure and tension because of the time, of the schedule, of the 3-hour session, of the unions, which I respect and I understand. No, absolutely. And it is normal that there is not a lot of passion around. What it is what I said, tension and pressure. So at a certain point, this is becoming a little bit hectic.
Maria, 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 Maria. I've just met a girl named Maria, and suddenly that name will never be the same to me. Maria, I've just kissed a girl named Maria, and suddenly I found how wonderful a song can be. Maria, say it loud and there's music playing. Say it soft and it's almost like praying. Maria, I'll never stop saying Maria, 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 Maria. If you are so kind, I would like to do these 3 bars alone. I mean,
122. The rest.
To start here, please.
Oh, come on. You're doing wonderfully. Don't worry.
Happy, would you rather do this tomorrow? Well, because the session's over.
Oh, well, then. Okay.
All right, now look, everyone, for tomorrow evening, looks like you'll be free. If we need anything, we'll do it a little after 5. We'll go overtime tomorrow. So you're free tomorrow evening.
I can hardly believe it.
Oh.
That little guy has such problems.